Hello and welcome to Culture on I-24 News. I'm Oded Grober. Thank you for joining me. Today on our show, we'll talk to the owner of Jerusalem's new art gallery, Rosenbach Contemporary. We'll meet Israeli singer Nasreen Qadri and hear about popular uprising against the exclusion of women from comics and toys. Rosenbach Contemporary is a new art gallery in Jerusalem focusing on Israeli art. It was founded by Uri Rosenbach, who, after working for various galleries and auction houses for many years, decided to open his own place. The gallery is currently exhibiting a show titled Modernism 2016. I'm very happy to have Uri in the studio to tell us all about it. Thank you for coming in, Uri.
Thank you for having me.
So let's start with the obvious, maybe. You know, we've had all sorts of gallerists in the studio before. Something about you is a little different. Maybe you can help me put my finger on it.
Well, I guess if we look at the different types of galleries that you have in Tel Aviv as opposed to what's in Jerusalem, and the different types of gallery owners that you have in Tel Aviv as opposed to in Jerusalem, and if you just look at the way I look, I guess that pretty much says for itself. If we talk about the different types of galleries in Jerusalem, we are, I guess you would say, the only the only gallery that specializes in showing and promoting contemporary Israeli art.
Right.
The majority of the galleries will show either Judaica or they'll show more classical art. Mm-hmm. It's our intention really to go with something which is much more prevalent in Tel Aviv, which is, of course, contemporary Israeli art.
It's a pretty bold move, even if it doesn't, why is it a bold move? Let me ask you that.
Well, first of all, I would say, obviously, when you're dealing with the types of artwork that I had been dealing with in the past, when you're dealing with much larger numbers, mm-hmm. That's obviously one thing. Now we're dealing with much smaller numbers. Mm-hmm. You're also dealing with, let's say, some artists are more established, some artists are less established. You're really almost being a startup.
Yeah. So why did you decide? I mean, it doesn't sound, on the surface of it, doesn't sound like a great career move, but I have a feeling that you have other reasoning.
Well, I would say when a person is looking to open a new business, I guess there are several ways of doing it. One is if there's a bakery on the corner, and it's doing well, so you open a bakery because everybody's looking for bakeries.
That's one approach.
That's one approach. Another approach is you go to a place.
If there isn't a bakery.
If there's no bakery, and something which could be done, and it's something which is go open a bakery. When I was looking, and I've been working obviously on King David Street area for many, many years, mm-hmm. And in Jerusalem, as I mentioned, in Tel Aviv, something which exists tremendously. Yeah. In Jerusalem, it doesn't exist.
And do you think that there is a thirst for it? Do you think that the audience for it exists in Jerusalem?
Jerusalem, I would say you can split it up into several different. Obviously, I chose the King David area because that's an area, very tourist area. Mm-hmm. Everybody who comes to visit Israel spends time in that area.
Certainly.
For the last 2 years, I had an office in New York. We did several exhibitions of contemporary Israeli art. And what I've discovered that many of the people who had purchased from me paintings in the past on a certain higher level mm-hmm. are now looking to do something which is a little bit different, which is contemporary Israeli art. So the answer is, in terms of the tourist market, yes, there is a thirst for it. There's an interest in it. Yeah. Obviously, you have a certain level of a clientele who's getting up in years, if you will, and their children are now beginning to collect. And there's something for a younger generation, which I feel is.
Now, if we touch on the subject of the ultra-Orthodox community and the art world, it's a complicated relationship between the two.
I guess if you talk historically, the religious Jewish community historically had been collectors of, whether it's silver, Judaica, silver, and whatnot. There has been a trend to begin purchasing, of course, with more affluence, of purchasing paintings, whether whether impressionist, post-impressionist, Israeli, whatever. There obviously are many restrictions.
Exactly.
For example, we have certain things which we don't show, whether it's things which are immodest, things which are very far off political statements, which are things which we'll find.
And how do artists react when you put these constraints on the table?
It was very interesting because when I first came up with the idea, a lot of particularly the galleries and curators were saying, the first thing you're going to find, you cannot restrict an artist to do something. And I said, the moment an artist has an idea and puts it on a canvas or on paper or in any other media that he works in, he's already restricting himself because he took it from something which is very abstract and puts it down into something which is not abstract, which is concrete. Okay. And all I'm saying is, once you have that restriction, so go a little bit further. You're restricting yourself on the one hand. On the other hand, you're expanding yourself because when you're making a certain statement, you're talking to a narrow population. And now I'm saying, let's look for more of a common area, a common ground, and talk to more people. And it's something which is very interesting, that people from all walks of life and the entire political spectrum who come in, they can all relate to what I'm showing.
So you may be limiting yourself in some way with the subject matter, but you will reach a much larger number of people.
It's not a matter of just reaching the larger. It's a larger number of people. I mean, art, let's say, in art, whatever, it's the artist is trying to express something. It's what he's doing instead of expressing to himself or to a small number of people, it's basically forcing him to have a conversation with a larger number of people.
I see. But do you expect that people from the ultra-Orthodox community will come in and purchase some works?
Yes, I do. In fact, I've had a lot of people coming in already interested.
That's great to hear. Let's talk about the exhibition that's currently on, Modernism 2016. What's it about? Why go with that as one of your first exhibitions?
Maybe what I should, if I go back one exhibition previous, our first exhibition was called Merkaz, which means centrality. The idea being the idea of central. We were coming and saying that centrality is actually something which is very subjective. The world, everybody in the world, in Israel, thinks that Tel Aviv is the center of the Israeli art market. On the other hand, Jerusalem is considered the center of the world. So basically, what we're doing is we took something which is considered on the one hand being very central to Tel Aviv, bring it to Jerusalem, which is more, on the one hand,
a global center,
more of a global,
perhaps,
global centralizing. This exhibition of modernism, we're taking something which is a movement which is very traditional. Which, if you walk around the King David era, you'll see many galleries relating to that type of a theme, but bringing it something which is very relevant to today's artists. So we've taken artists who are working in the modernistic aesthetics based upon the masters from the late 19th, early 20th centuries, and putting it into something which is very contemporary today.
Well, it seems very interesting, Uri. I thank you again for coming in. I wish you the best of luck.
Thank you very much. It was my pleasure.
All right. Nasreen Qadri refuses to be pigeonholed. She is a Muslim Arab-Israeli singer who also won a popular TV talent competition. She sings in Hebrew and Arabic. She's an avid supporter of the LGBT community, and at some point she even began the process of conversion to Judaism. Nasreen has become a sensation in the local music scene, and Daniel Campos went out to meet her.
She's become the Arab daughter of the Mizrahi music scene in Israel, a genre of music popular among Jews who immigrated to Israel from Arab and Mediterranean countries. Born in Haifa, Arab-Israeli singer Nasreen Qadri doesn't cater to elitist audiences. She is more of a working-class hero. She is apolitical, and unlike other musicians, she doesn't go around preaching solutions to the world's problems. Political questions bore her.
I had enough of the most popular word in our country, which is politics, and it's something everyone asks me about. First of all, everyone asks me about politics. What are your thoughts? How is it? How do you feel in your situation? Are you afraid?
The Arab-Israeli musician wishes to talk more about herself and her musical breakthrough after winning the 2011 season of Eyal Golan is Calling You, a TV talent show hosted by Israel's most famous Mizrahi singer. Despite her fame, she is always ready to perform anytime in front of any audience.
Yes, I've been performing for 15 years, but I used to perform in henna ceremonies in small clubs for Tunisians, Iraqis, Moroccans, French, but people didn't know yet who is Nasreen. Once I arrived at the TV show, all the doors opened for me, and people learned about Nasreen Qadri.
The Haifa-born singer is also known for her open-minded musical approach. From performing Kulthum classics with the Israeli Andalus Orchestra to going for an electronic sound as in her song Sawa, made in collaboration with Ofer Nissim, one of the world's gay community top DJs. In 2015, Nasrin went a step further and openly promoted LGBT rights by releasing a song titled In the Second Round, accompanied by a romantic sensual music video of a male couple wishing for acceptance. Nasreen Qadri manages to balance many worlds at the same time, and this doesn't contrast with her religious upbringing.
התפיסה הדתית שלנו בבית היא תפיסה כמו כל בית, אוקיי?
Just like in any other home, we fast on Ramadan. On holidays, my mom is religious, so is my sister. I come from a home with rules, respect, and morals, which I don't give up on, even now that I live alone in Rishon LeZion.
מוסרים שאני לא מוותרת עליהם עד היום, אם אני גרה בראשון לבד. גם כשאני גרה בראשון לבד, אני לא מוותרת עליהם.
Her spiritual curiosity has also led her to flirt with Judaism. A few years ago, she even began her conversion process to Judaism. She fasted on Yom Kippur and lit candles on Shabbat. She met with rabbis, but in the end, she decided not to convert.
הדת, אני מאוד מכבדת אותו, יש לי אמונה בלב ש...
I am crazy over God. I can sit for hours and talk to him. When I'm sad, when I'm happy, I always talk to him. When good things happen, to me I say Baruch Hashem. And when bad things come, I also say Baruch Hashem.
כשטוב לי אני אומרת ברוך השם, וכשרע לי אני אומרת ברוך השם.
In her songs, Hebrew and Arabic mix in harmony, sometimes making it confusing to understand which is which. A master of bringing two different worlds together without any political agenda is what makes this diva so unique.
My message is my music. If you want to connect to it, this is my message and what I propose.
זה מה שאני מציעה.
And now to talk about comics and toys, Avri Rosentzvi is in the studio.
Yes,
Surprise,
today we're talking about people outraged at the exclusion of women. So we have in sort of geeky terms.
Yeah.
Let's start with Angoulême, one of the most important comic book festivals in the world in France. It's going to take place at the 29th of January.
Very important, very prestigious.
Yes, and the Grand Prix award, which is awarded at the end of the festival, is now under attack. It's been called like an old boys club in the past, but this year,
They really took it to heart.
yeah, 30 people are nominated for this prize, all men. And so about 12 of them, including big names such as Charles Burns, Dan Clowes, Johan Sfar, and Chris Ware, huge names in the comic book world.
Yeah.
You probably haven't heard of them. No. Have withdrawn their names from the competition, saying that it's preposterous that there are no women in it.
I have to agree. I mean, it's
Yes.
30 names. It's not that there are three.
And there were
you know,
really great female comic creators with new works this year. One of the French people started it, Mr. Satouf, and Chris Ware followed, and he said, while I'm flattered to be nominated, I support the reasons for boycott and withdraw my name. Okay.
Yeah.
So that was one
That's
thing.
happening in comic books
And they
in
started,
Angoulême.
and they and they're
They are
rethinking the prize.
rethinking the
Yeah,
prize.
so
Good, good. So achievement there.
And the second thing is Star Wars, where the Star Wars Monopoly was released recently without one of the main characters of the movie, Rey. That
Perhaps
follows
the main character.
Yeah.
No spoilers.
no spoilers, which follows the fact that there were few Rey toys to be found on the
begin
shelves,
with, right.
even though she was one of the big stars. And so people started "Where's Rey" on Twitter,
Hashtag
saying
Where's Rey.
that there needs to be like female representation.
And will there be?
And in the next edition
short
of the Star
answer?
Wars Monopoly, yes, there
Yes,
will be.
all right. Thank you so much, Avik.
Thank you.
We're done for today. Thank you so much for watching. We'll be back over the weekend with our weekend edition and the new show on Monday. I'm sure I will see you all then. Bye-bye.